In 1919, a company called Hobart built a stand mixer so tough that the United States Navy put it on battleships. For the next 60 years, that same company built KitchenAid mixers for the American home. They were heavy, they were loud, and they were machined from solid metal by the same engineers who built commercial restaurant equipment. If your grandmother owns one, it is probably still running. Now compare that to the experience of a modern buyer. You walk into a store today and spend $400 on a KitchenAid Artisan in spearmint or butter yellow. It looks beautiful on your counter. But the first time you mix a stiff bread dough, the motor strains the gears strip and the machine is done. What happened? In 1986, Whirlpool Corporation bought KitchenAid from Hobart for $150 million. They kept the name. They kept the factory in Greenville, Ohio, and they gutted everything inside it. The old label said Made in USA. The new label says Assembled in USA. That is not the same thing. And the machine behind that label is not the same machine. The first thing they changed was what you cannot see: the gears. Inside a Hobart-era KitchenAid, the gear train was machined from solid metal. The tolerances were tight, and the teeth were cut with precision because Hobart built these machines the same way they built their commercial kitchen equipment. They expected them to run for decades under heavy load. When Whirlpool took over, they replaced the worm gear in the consumer models with Nylon. It is a plastic gear with teeth that are designed to shred the moment the motor encounters resistance. KitchenAid calls this a fail-safe mechanism, and they say it protects the motor from overload. But what it really does is create a part that is guaranteed to break. If you make bread dough, if you mix thick cookie batter, if you do the things a stand mixer was built to do, the nylon teeth will strip. The Pro 600 line was even worse. They housed the metal gears inside a plastic transmission casing. So many of those casings cracked under normal use that KitchenAid was eventually forced to switch to a metal housing. They didn't recall the machines. They quietly changed the part and hoped no one would notice. This is not an accident. This is a design choice. They engineered a machine that punishes you for using it. But the gears are only half of the crime inside that housing. The other half is what keeps them turning. Even if the gears survive, the lubricant will kill them. Your grandmother's KitchenAid came packed with grease that lasted decades. The machine you buy today comes with a clay-based petroleum lubricant that begins to die the day it leaves the factory. Within 5 years, the petroleum distillates evaporate. What is left behind is not grease, it is chalk. Dry calcium powder sitting on bare metal, grinding your gears down every time you turn the machine on. Modern synthetic food-safe greases exist that will stay functional for 20 years. They meet the same FDA safety standards. They cost pennies more per unit to manufacture. Every repair technician in the country will tell you the same thing. The first thing you should do when you buy a new KitchenAid is take it apart and replace the grease before you ever use it. Think about that. The people who fix these machines for a living are telling you to rebuild the lubrication system on a brand new appliance. Whirlpool could fix this tomorrow for less than $1 per unit. They choose not to. So the gears are weaker and the grease is cheaper. But the most insulting change is printed right on the box. If you pick up a new KitchenAid mixer at the store and flip it over, you will find a small sticker. It says, "Assembled in the United States." The old one said something different. They said, "Made in USA." Those two phrases are not the same thing. Made in USA means the parts, the machining, and the assembly all happen domestically. Assembled in USA means the components were manufactured somewhere else and shipped to an American building where workers bolted them together. The die-cast parts inside a modern KitchenAid come from manufacturing plants around the world. They arrive at the factory in Greenville, Ohio, where they are assembled on a line and stamped with a legacy that no longer belongs to them. Whirlpool still offers tours of that factory. They call it the KitchenAid Experience. They walk you past the assembly line and let you watch workers put imported parts into an American shell. It is a nice tour. It makes you feel good about the brand. But a tour is not a manufacturing process. It is a marketing event. They kept the building. They hollowed out what it means. That brings us to the change that reveals the entire strategy. Every year, KitchenAid announces a color of the year. In 2025, it was butter yellow. In 2026, it is spearmint. There are now over 40 color options on their website. Go look at how they sell these machines. They do not advertise the torque rating. They do not advertise the gear material. They do not tell you whether the worm gear is metal or nylon. They show you a photo of a mint green mixer on a marble countertop next to a vase of flowers. Hobart never sold colors. They sold horsepower and commercial ratings because their customers needed the machine to work. The modern KitchenAid customer is not buying a tool. They are buying furniture. Whirlpool knows it. That is why the engineering budget shrank while the color palette data grew. They figured out that most people will never mix a dough stiff enough to strip the gears. Most people will use it twice a year for holiday cookies, put it back on the shelf, and never know what is rotting inside the housing. The mixer became a decoration. Decorations do not need to be built to last. Here is the verdict. KitchenAid is not a story about a mixer. It is a story about what happens when a corporation buys a name that people trust and quietly drains everything behind it. Weaker gears, cheaper grease, imported parts in an American shell, a color catalog to make sure you never look under the hood. Whirlpool did not buy KitchenAid to build on its legacy. They bought it to spend it. So here is what you do. If you have an old one, keep it. Take it apart, clean out the grease, pack it with synthetic lubricant, and put it back together. That machine is superior to anything on the showroom floor today. If your grandmother still has her Hobart-era KitchenAid sitting on the counter, do not let her give it away. It is not an old appliance. It is the last real one they made. Stop buying the color. Buy the steel. Never trust a brand just because you trusted it once. Subscribe for more videos like this.